Dear viewers, I know many of you don't like watching things about Taiwan, but I have to talk about it. I want to describe how outrageous some things in Taiwan are, particularly how outrageous some things about the Kuomintang are. If some people still come out to speak for the Kuomintang, I will be very angry. Actually, if you notice every time I get upset, my intense temper and the way I fall out with those people, like with Tao Jie, it's always a moral issue, never a matter of interest. Just look at how outrageous the Kuomintang's behavior is. It's unparalleled. In the history of world democracy, I've never seen a party behave like this. This matter of recalling the Kuomintang's legislative Yuan caucus leader, this person is quite formidable. Now the Kuomintang is leaderless, and this person seems very impressive. This Fu Kun-chi, he's from Hualien, submitted 32,770 cases with the second stage of joint signatures. The first stage is 1%, and the second stage is 10%. This far exceeds 10%, well beyond the required 19,377 signatures. There are 190,000 voters there, and he exceeded by 169%. In a moment, I'll explain the importance of this ratio to everyone. The importance of this ratio is that for the second submission, he needed 10%. Originally, he needed to submit 19,377 signatures, but he submitted 32,770. How many people do they want to recall in total? 35 people. Currently, 22 have met the target, and 80 are close to meeting it. They hope to reach 130%, which is 13%. Then there are 8 people who have reached 90%, and the deadline is around the 8th. All recall experiences tell you that if you reach 12.5% in signatures, the chance of a recall is very high. Because a recall needs to surpass 25% if 12.5% of people are willing to sign, and because the promotion will be even stronger by then, these 12.5% have already invested in you. Emotionally, it's easy for them to bring in one more person, and then they can achieve a recall. In the history of recalls, this is like Han Kuo-yu in Hualien. 12.5% can usually lead to a recall. If that's the case, it might result in recalling over 20 people. This is significant, and you need to understand this first. Currently, the seats are distributed like this. The Kuomintang has 52 seats. The Democratic Progressive Party has 51 seats. Actually, these 2 seats are also Kuomintang's, but they are listed as independent due to past offenses, making it 54 seats. Then, adding the 8 seats from the People's Party, it totals 62 seats. 62 seats compared to 51 seats, that's a difference of 11 seats. If more than 20 seats are recalled. In the short term, once a recall is successful, the Democratic Progressive Party will naturally have the final say and will have full governance. As a voter in Taiwan, I signed the recall petition for Su Chao HSIN, and of course, I hope for this outcome. But that's not the case, as a by-election will be held in 60 days. If out of these 20 seats, just 6 are won by the Democratic Progressive Party, then with 57 seats, they will have a majority in the legislative yuan. For the next 3 years, things will be easier to manage, especially since there are 2 matters I find extremely urgent: strengthening the Anti-Infiltration Act and enhancing the Foreign Agents Registration Act. If you are directed, controlled, or funded by a hostile country, namely the Chinese Communist Party, you can be arrested. This is very important, because these pro-communist individuals are certainly really rampant. The Kuomintang is saying they want to counter with recalls, proposing to recall 15 members of the Democratic Progressive Party. The Central Election Commission received 41 cases, saying that there were issues with the first stage petitions. 25 of these were from the blue camp to recall green camp legislators, and 15 were from the green camp to recall blue camp legislators. One case was to recall Hualien. Among these 41 cases, 25 were indeed actually filed, but the number of these cases doesn't really matter. That is, many people are reporting each other. Why are they reporting? Because it's really quite funny what the blue camp people are doing. The blue camp, due to unforeseen circumstances, was incapable of being able to initiate the petition, and thus decided to copy the membership list from within the Kuomintang. They forged signatures, and this forgery was lazy, just copying from the list, sometimes even copying incorrectly. That is, they absolutely copied the address wrong between two lines, and the most absolutely outrageous thing is, I can tell you, there were 1,700 deceased signatures, people who had already died before the petition, 1,700 of them, and because of the sloppy copying. The deceased signatures accounted for 5% to 10% of the list submitted by the blue camp, while the green camp had none. The green camp had a dozen or so deceased signatures, but they were proven to have signed before they died, not long after they had passed away. Why is that? Because the green camp had set up many booths early on, and I signed at those booths. The people in the blue camp were lazy, meaning they couldn't rally people to come out, so they called on the Kuomintang. The local branches were asked to bring out the party member lists, and they just copied them. Forging signatures was enough. You have to copy from the list. Why? Because you need to know the address, you have to fill in the address, and this involves what kind of problem? Forgery of documents, election fraud, and also leaking people's privacy. The party member list didn't tell you it could be used this way. This involves, once those people were caught, they had taken the Kuomintang's party member list, and when compared, it matched highly. There was a 90% similarity. You can't say it wasn't copied. This is beyond reasonable doubt. And 90% of it is exactly the same as your party member list. The most outrageous part is that the first submission was already rejected. Many were deleted and didn't meet the numbers, and the ones he resubmitted were still copied. It's like cheating on an exam, getting caught, being told to retake it, and then cheating again on the retake. All right, undoubtedly, the error rate is as high as 40%. Isn't it astonishing? They moved addresses without knowing, didn't know they hadn't lived there for 5 years. For example, one of them, Legislator Wu Pei, there are 108 deceased people, over 390 people with incomplete residency registration. It's outrageous. 40% of it is incorrect. And yet, he still uses the excuse of judicial persecution. I've never seen such a shameless political party. They should come out and apologize. In the end, it was a disaster. When those people were called out, they were very surprised. How did you get the list? It was given to me by those people from the Kuomintang. They prepared it for me. So, go investigate the Kuomintang. They searched and found the list to compare, and upon comparison, it was the party member roster. It required the person in charge of party affairs, the chairperson, to use a card to access it on the computer. You know, once you use a computer, there's always a record. They uncovered everything, revealing who did it. 13 people from the Kuomintang's Taipei City branch were arrested, 6 from New Taipei City, and 10 from Taichung and Zhanghua. 1 in Tainan, at least 30 people in total. I checked how many were arrested, and the total is from Taipei. New Taipei, Taichung, Keelung, Tainan, Ilan, Taoyuan, and Hualien, totaling 23 people. Among those arrested, the most serious case is in Taipei City, involving Taipei City. The chairperson with significant power, Wang Lu Jinru, almost all of the Kuomintang's party workers were caught in one sweep. Now, some of the leaders are saying, "Don't involve me, it's not my business," which complicates things. The lead figure has disappeared, now vanished from the face of the earth, and cannot cheat because they need to sign many documents. That person is missing and can't sign. The first stage is already like this, and the second stage, the Kuomintang won't get through. I'm telling you, they simply won't get through, and the most serious issue is if these people, out of fear of going to jail, claim that the party headquarters instructed them to do it, it becomes very serious, as the party headquarters doesn't know who gave the order. It might be the Secretary General. It probably wouldn't be Eric Chu. I've mentioned this matter, and yet the Kuomintang has the audacity to claim judicial persecution, even though the whole thing is fake. How can you say it's judicial persecution when the situation is completely different from the recorded evidence? All right, speaking of Fu Kun-chi, I'm truly amazed. There's nothing like this anywhere else in the world. A person who has been imprisoned 3 times, not just once, actually got elected as a member of the Legislative Yuan. Not only was he elected as a legislator, but he also became the caucus leader, and Han Kuo-yu and the vice president don't even dare to speak against him. He alone controls the entire legislative agenda completely and effectively. As a Kuomintang member, legislator, and caucus leader, he determines the Kuomintang's policies. The executive director of the Central Party Policy Committee, very impressive. This person once served as the magistrate of Hualien County. Then he passed the position of magistrate to his wife, Su Chin-wei, who held it for 20 years, earning the nickname King of Hualien. With a long criminal record, if there were a global association for rehabilitated individuals, meaning those who have been released from prison, he should be the president. Why? No one is this impressive, having served 3 prison sentences and then being able to serve as the chief convener in the Legislative Yuan. He commands the entire Kuomintang to the extent that the Kuomintang's shamelessness is morally unacceptable. Some people in the Kuomintang with a sense of morality often say this person is indeed a virus. He was born in Taichung City, studied in the Department of Transportation Management at Tamkang University, and then pursued a PhD in International Relations at Jinan University in Guangzhou. His political career began in 2001, transitioning from the People First Party to the Kuomintang, involving several cases. First, it's important to understand his cases. Don't say he was persecuted, as these occurred during the Kuomintang's rule. From July 1997 to 1998, he borrowed 400 million to speculate in stocks. He used dummy accounts, forged transactions, and manipulated the market. As a result, he was sentenced to 4 years in 2009 and 2015 during Ma Ying-jeou's term. The case was sent back, and he was resentenced to 2 years and 10 months, serving time in Hualien in 2020. He was released from prison in 2021. The first case, the second case, in 2003, he became a legislator for the People First Party. He speculated in stocks with Hehe Electromechanical Wire and Cable Company. Heji Company received an order for the 6th power distribution engineering design from Taipower. The chairman wanted to drive up the stock price, offering him 20,000 shares at $15 each, asking him to handle the speculation. Do you know how much 20,000 shares is? In Taiwan, 1 share is 1,000 stocks. Each share is over $10,000, which amounts to several hundred million. As a result, the stock price plummeted, and those people sued him. He ended up paying over 10 million, and in 2018, he was sentenced to 8 months in prison. He was released from prison in 2019, his first time serving a sentence. In 2009, Fu Kun-chi became the magistrate of Hualien County. He couldn't appoint his relatives to deputy positions. So he staged a fake divorce with Su Chin-wei. He then appointed her as deputy magistrate because he wanted her to take on that role later. In 2011, the Hualien District Court ruled against him and 2 others. It was a fake divorce because they lived together and appeared in public as a couple. This led to charges of falsifying documents, leading to a sentence of 6 months and 4 months in prison. Once again, just a little bit longer. Now, if you would be so kind as to... There are 3 cases, one of which is... During the 2024 election, he ordered many items from the mainland to be brought back, to distribute to those running for legislative positions, so they could freely give them out at election rallies in order to, and also. It was found he ordered them from the mainland, and it's very likely he didn't pay the mainland. They were essentially given to him for free. Then he distributed them to those running for legislative positions. Send out. This violates the Anti-Infiltration Act. And of course, this involves vote buying and falsifying records. This is why he brought benefits from the mainland and kept distributing them to those in the legislative yuan. So he had a very strong control. He was representing the mainland in delivering benefits. Guess who did it? It was his steward. His steward has now disappeared. Lawyer Zhang Ruiwen is hiding the fugitive. Isn't that funny? This person was wanted by the authorities and then eventually fled. In 2025, this was impressive. During his time as the magistrate of Hualien County, there was something called happiness. They found someone to take the money, but that person refused. So he adjusted their mining tax from $10 to $70. Collected over $200 million. The problem is, he did this through the Hualien Council, but the Hualien Council doesn't have the authority to collect. Increased mining taxes, that's national legislation. It went to the Control Yuan, and the Control Yuan said it was illegal, and then they lost all the lawsuits. They are definitely coming very soon. We're already, at that time, disputing, and someone recorded his voice at that time, several directors below him. The director of the Environmental Protection Department went to talk to them. It was intimidation and threats, telling them that the higher-ups had decided this way. Don't sue anymore. You should pay up. Otherwise, you'll be forced to stop work immediately. That's how it was. All right, let's delve a bit deeper into this. A high-ranking official said that the business's victory in the lawsuit is only temporary. Do you think? You won the lawsuit and that's it. The county government can raise taxes at any time. Can you handle that? Now quickly withdraw, and as a result, the mine was shut down. Now that this matter has been exposed, after so many years, finally, they returned $250 million overnight. This is extremely outrageous. This is an act of bullying with power. This tax wasn't set arbitrarily by us. It was personally decided by the county magistrate. If you keep making a fuss, the higher-ups won't let you off. Will your mine still operate? If you don't cooperate, it will be dismantled. You can't escape water, electricity, environmental, and tax issues. What kind of government is this? Hualien local government. All right, this matter, in 2010. Truly impressive. Do you admire it? The ideal land resort. At that time, the chairman of Guiyang, Ho Shifeng, wanted to buy it for $1.25 billion. Ended up buying it for $1.05 billion. Saving $250 million, and then for $1.52 billion. Sold it to that person, making a profit of $500 million. Why? They actually signed the contract in the county mayor's office. Sold it for $1.05 billion in the morning and $1.52 billion in the afternoon. Why? Let me explain to everyone. He told the seller, I'm dealing with the seller because if you want to turn the land into a resort, you'll need a lot of approvals. I won't approve it. I'm telling everyone I won't approve it. So you definitely won't be able to sell it, and you'll have to sell it to me for cheaper. 1.05 billion, for example, and then tell this person, if you buy it for 1.5 billion, I'll approve you to build a resort. Earning 500 million in a single day. When Ideal Land wanted to buy it, he bought land, using administrative means to force it. First, writing to the Ministry of Transportation to request the cancellation of the resort conversion. Using the Secretary General to threaten, holding a press conference. Accusing Ideal Land of speculation and using Chinese capital, demanding the Ministry of Transportation cancel. This is a very outrageous matter. Now there are 3 criminal cases. In the past 4 years, Fu Kun-chi, due to actions in the legislative yuan, because after he went to prison, he was expelled, the Kuomintang initiated something called the joint action, meaning those who were kicked out, we now bring them back together. All these people with criminal cases are coming back, even murderers, passing controversial bills like paralyzing Taiwan's legislative yuan, blocking the progress of bills. This is selling out Taiwan. American think tanks have issued warnings. The Kuomintang has close interactions with China, using youth exchanges to promote and propagate United Front tactics, specifically mentioning last April, when the legislative yuan caucus leader Fu Kun-chi led a delegation to visit China. A Washington think tank came to Taiwan, wanting to meet with Kuomintang legislators to discuss the issue of budget cuts, but Fu Kun-chi did not allow them to meet with the Americans, saying that the national defense budget cannot be cut. In 2024, he used the legislative yuan's exercise of power law to expand the powers of the legislative yuan, turning it into an investigative court, able to summon people at any time. Contempt of Congress can lead to arrest and fines. In April 2024, he led 17 Kuomintang legislators on a visit to Beijing, meeting with Song Tao and Wang Huning. The 2 sides of the strait share the same people and race, and should promote exchanges and maintain peace in the Taiwan Strait. In Beijing, he responded to Wang Huning's One China principle, emphasizing the Kuomintang stance, promoting cross-strait development based on the 1992 consensus. He fiercely criticized the DPP legislator Shen Boyang, calling him a collaborator in China's United Front efforts. The most powerful is this is the leader, and now this person is the leader within the Kuomintang executing the Communist Party's resolutions. Simply put, this is indeed it. Fu Kun-chi said we should befriend all countries like the US and Japan. Why hostility to China? Like Xing Tiyi's provocation of China is flawed logic, stressing the importance of the Chinese market for Taiwan's exports and the need to reduce tensions. Relaxing restrictions on Chinese tourists. In 2024, the executive yuan set a daily limit of 2,000 mainland tourists is ineffective, increased to 15,000 to 20,000 to boost tourism in Hualien. Wang Huning asked him how to say his name. He said Fu Kun-chi is like grass on Kunlun Mountain. Isn't this person funny? He said his visit to China is for peace. The visit to China shows Taiwan's new opinion aiming to restore cross-strait exchanges and reduce hatred. Peace in the Taiwan Strait is crucial for Taiwan, while U.S. military aid to Taiwan intensifies the conflict. This is Fu Kun-chi in the democratic societies worldwide. I have never seen a local force in Taiwan. The Kuomintang continuously colludes with these local dark forces throughout Taiwan from north to south. There are more than a dozen places if the Legislative Council is reformed this time. We need to address the forces in these places, these local dark forces. And the gang members, over 60% of them, have been infiltrated by China. Those temples have been infiltrated by China. We should take back all those temples, like Hong Kong did. Hong Kong has a Chinese temple management system, and the donations are all collected and then distributed to the local areas, saying how to use them. A local committee is set up and then they follow the local instructions to use them. These people cannot handle them at all. For example, their Mazu statue. The entire gold statue was donated decades ago, and it was found that the outside is gold, but the inside is copper. These are the most dangerous places in Taiwan,